Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another fine Wednesday morning. Welcome to another coffee break chat. I'm your host, James Jackson. He, they pronouns. It is a lovely Wednesday here in the city of Philadelphia. Uh, Kind of sunny for the time being. Supposed to cloud up a little bit later, but we'll see what happens. Not overly chilly, not underly chilly, and I think we're gonna have a good day. We got a great show for you today. History, homes, and hilarity. When people don't understand how anything works. I've spent my break reading the news and following what's going on, and it seems like a lot of people just don't understand the basics of how anything works sometimes, and it's just it's awful. I don't know how this happened, how we got to this point, but we'll talk a little bit more about that, and we'll talk about the Speaker of the House, the insurrection in Brazil, inflation, and Section 8 housing. But first, we have our special guests, the proprietors of Smoke and Mirrors Magic Theater, Danny and Marty. Let me bring them on screen for you, and there you guys are. Welcome, Danny. Welcome, Marty. Please introduce yourselves, your pronouns, what it is you do.
I'm Danny Archer, is my pronoun, and I am the co-owner of the Smoke and Mirrors Magic Theater. This is
I'm Marty Martin, and I'm also a he, if you have to say that. And I am also the co-owner of the Smoke and Mirrors Magic Theater. It's great to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So tell us a little bit about Smoke and Mirrors Magic Theater. What do you guys? We were having a little conversation about the theater and its unique nature before the show here. Where are you guys located, and what is special about the theater?
Well, we are located in that unique area where Montgomery County, Bucks County, and Philadelphia all meet. We are technically in Montgomery County, Huntington Valley, PA. But we are half a mile to Philadelphia, Northeast Philly. We are less than a mile to Bucks County. So we're right in that one little zone. So we're near Bucks County, Montgomery County, and obviously Northeast Philly. We opened up in August of 2017. We are the only dedicated magic theater in the Delaware Valley. And we have been since the day we opened. There is not another theater. You can see behind us, the theater is built in a unique fashion. It's an amphitheater. So we're on the stage right now. We have the stage will actually be the other way, would be that way. And that's the first row. That little thing right there is a camera right between our heads on that shelf. We record our shows, and you can see that each row gets successively higher. And then if you take a little look like this, you can see that the seats curve around. It's built like an amphitheater. So this venue was built with one thing and one thing only in mind: to present the art of magic in the best possible conditions. There is the problem with a lot of magic shows is you go there, you can't see. As soon as the guy puts something on the table, I can't see the tabletop. There's a guy's head in front of me. I can't see. So this theater, it was built to watch magic. There are 60 seats. Every seat is the best seat in the house. I have sat way up there in the fourth row. There's only 4 rows in one seat. That's a great seat. There's no bad seats at the Smoke and Mirrors Theater.
Yeah, the other thing about the theater is that we're trying to bring the art of magic, which people really don't know about. When people think of magicians, if I ask people to name a magician, they still name Harry Houdini. They'll say Houdini, or they might say David Copperfield or David Blaine. But the rest of the world, when I say to someone, or Danny says to someone, they say, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" We say, "We're magicians." And the first words out of their mouth are, "My kids would love you." And what we do, yes, we do have family shows that are geared for ages 6 to 106, but our mainstay in magic is our evening shows, where adults can come out for an amazing night out to see magic as close up and personal as possible, with no trapdoors, no big boxes. They are inches The front row is on the stage with us. So it's kind of an amazing theater to come in and see the best magicians in the world. We have all the touring magicians, the people you see in Las Vegas, Monte Carlo, the people that are working the cruise ships. And this theater was built just to watch it. They're not looking up at the performer. They're not seeing big boxes. They're actually looking down and can see the tabletop. When you put a playing card on that table, you can see it as clear as if you were sitting beside it.
Now, does that create some challenges for your performers? Do they have to be of a certain caliber, or do you?
That that's a great question because Danny and I, and a team handpick each and every performer that performs here at the Smoke and Mirrors Magic Theater. Each one is reviewed by a group of people, some which are lay people, to determine if they should be on this stage because we can't afford to have a bad show. People talk forever about a bad show, right? And they may talk about you a little bit for a great show, but we want to give them the best show possible. Would you agree, Dan?
Yeah, and to get back to your question, to a professional magician would want the audience as close as possible, not as far as possible, as close as possible. And literally, you're about 2.5 feet from the audience when we do our shows here at the theater, from the front row of the audience. Even the back row, if you go back to the very back seat, the farthest seat from the row, that seat is only 18 feet from where the performer is standing. So no, we don't, it doesn't present a challenge for a professional magician. We want the audience as close as possible.
Great. The interesting thing about magic is always has been to me anyway that like that there is sleight of hand, that there is not necessarily what you're seeing is what's to be believed, but the artistry to me has always been in selling that as the reality that you're experiencing. What would you say, folks' expectations should be for the reality that they're immersed in when they come to your theater?
That's a very good question. And it's one of the interesting things, in my opinion. Magic is the hardest of all the performing arts to do successfully. And the reason why is, look at some of the other art forms: singing, acting, dancing. Those are activities that, whether you have done it professionally or not, you have all sung a song, you have all danced, you have all acted or played or lied or whatever. So we have all done those other art forms to some degree. Magic is something the average person has never done that themselves, and they just don't have a frame of reference. Many people, when they see our show, this is the first time they saw professional sleight of hand. They might have seen Uncle Jimmy pull a quarter out of a kid's ear, but that's not a professional sleight of hand. So most people, we've experienced dancing, singing, movies, we've experienced the other art forms, and we've seen top professionals do it, and we know where the bar is. Magic, because it's not as widely available, people haven't seen it much, and they don't understand where the level is. They have no idea how great magic is today.
Yeah, we have performers that are so extraordinary, and they're in different realms of magic also. So we have everything from a traditional magician that might produce a dove or something from fire or something like that, but we also have them from the extreme. For example, we've had Stevie Starr here. Now, Stevie Starr is known as, excuse the word, he's known as the regurgitator. Now, he has won every America's Got Talent across the globe, and he's the most unusual act in the world. Now, when people come, some people are disgusted just by the fact that the word regurgitate is in his title. But when they come to see him, he's so extraordinary that they talk about that moment and that show for the rest of their lives. Because here's a guy that borrows a ring from someone in the audience, swallows it completely, then drinks a whole container, a glass filled with sugar, right? And then he'll pour lighter fluid down his throat and blow bubbles, right? And take a smoke from a pipe, and he blows a bubble filled with smoke, and then it explodes, right? When he puts a match to it, because he's had all this fuel inside of him. And moments later, he brings up the sugar dry, and then brings up the lady's ring polished. And he does multiple things like that. He's one of the most extraordinary acts in the world. And each one of our acts, and I think Danny will agree, is unique in their own way, whether they're a mentalist or mind reader, to the greatest sleight of hand artist with cards and coins.
Very cool. Very cool. Sorry, hang on one second. I accidentally let me get that. There you go. Sorry, I got rid of your image
Don't worry.
by
Don't
accident.
worry.
Live shows, everybody. Things do go wrong. What happens in magic when things go wrong? Like what? Speaking of things going wrong, how does a professional magician deal with an unexpected heckle, or one of his props not working properly or being misplaced?
Well, the heckling issue does not come up that often here at the theater. It is extremely rare because people have bought a ticket. They're here in a theatrical, and heckling is more to come up in a informal a comedy club perhaps, or something like that. So we don't worry about that as all. As to when things go wrong, I am one of the performers at the theater. There's two situations that happen. A, something has gone wrong. I know it, but the audience doesn't know. So then it's up to me to see, okay, I know that something has gone wrong. Can I bring the trick to a conclusion another way? Maybe another ending will come out. So there are times, and actually, if you talk to most professionals, well, let me finish the other one. The other one is something has gone wrong and the audience knows it. We had a performer the other day that went to reach for a prop and knocked over a glass of liquid on stage. Everyone saw that something went wrong. There's no recovery from that.
But the act still goes on. They don't
Correct.
They don't stop and pick up the water. They don't stop. You have to be prepared for that moment when something does go wrong. Somebody knocks over a prop. You have to have a substitute for that effect and just move on as if, okay, that fell, no big deal. It's just like a Broadway show. Many times things go wrong, but the audience is not aware of it. When they are aware of it, you just continue on, and moments later, they'll forget about it as long as you have filler to fill that gap of when the item broke or fell.
And if you're a professional magician, what you do is when you're performing your show and you do have that rare instance where something happens, you make a note of it and say, okay, this happened. What can I do to keep that from happening again? And that's what I do with my show. So my show has reached the point right now where that's not going to go wrong because I've already addressed that. This happened one time 5 years ago, something happened. I fixed that. Will mistakes still happen? They will, because it's a real world and things do happen. But honestly, as a professional, I get a little thrill when something's going wrong, because now I go, okay, now I got to put my, I'm tap dancing. I'm thinking, how can I get it? And I remember I used to have on one of my publicity reels, when people wanted to hire me, the reaction to one of my tricks, that was a trick that went wrong. I improvised something and came out, and the reaction was so good that I had that person's reaction on my promo reel. So we're not scared if something happens.
Yeah, and also when we train other magicians and talk to other magicians about their acts, one of the things we talk about is backup, right? So meaning you have a magic marker and you have to write something down, but it dried out. Well, instead of having one magic marker, you should have three available to you and know where they are. And just like a Broadway show or any other theatrical show, blocking is important. So where are your props so that you don't knock them over? And the mistakes help you make your show better. They're always going to be something that happens. You forget a line, something gets knocked over, stuff will happen. But as long as you're prepared for it, I think that's the solution. And pros have worked through all of those solutions for the most part.
Yeah.
I guess that's just time and experience to some extent, because I know not necessarily being a performer, I'm very rarely on this side of the camera. I'm usually on the other side, making sure that things happen. But even that is a performance, and you know, the more times you do it, the more times you run into those problems. And like you said, yeah, when you run into problems is often an exciting time, because you get to come up with new solutions. You get to try new things. Um, we were talking also before the show a little bit briefly about why this is an exciting time in theater, because you know, you guys literally completely closed for, what would you say, 23 months?
No, about 18 to 20 months. We were
So,
closed. We did not do one single show.
The
and
doors were locked. We weren't open.
yeah, and you know, in the world of video production and theater AV production, that kind of thing, we were shut down for the same amount of time, really. Like, I didn't have a single gig from March of 2020 till at least September of 21, really. It was a pretty shut down time. Um,
We had
we
a little
oh, go
we had
ahead.
a little advantage over you,
Yeah.
but I'll talk about that in a minute.
I was just gonna say, you know, it's interesting because I think it's led to some interesting solutions. So, like, you know, I started this broadcast because of the pandemic and because of being shut down. I think we all got to investigate things that we wouldn't have bothered to investigate before. But
Yeah,
what?
we started virtual shows.
Yeah, yeah. I
So we
mean,
we that's when we put in the cameras. We put in cameras, a complete camera system, and we started doing corporate virtual shows around the globe. And we had a team of people that were doing every single day. We were doing something broadcast wise, as far as virtual, because people still wanted entertainment. People still wanted a show for their company that was being driven crazy by COVID. I mean, it was the worst possible thing in a million years. If you had asked Danny and I when we opened this place, was there going to be a pandemic? I mean, when's the last time there was a pandemic, right?
100
Like,
years ago.
right, 100 years ago. And now here we are, we're living it when we were at the peak of our business, where every single show we did, every show we put up was selling out. We had a core group of people, and then we had those newcomers that were coming in, and then it stopped just like a truck hitting a brick wall, right?
And
And
to me, the
it was
difference
horrible.
is it's like a hose. A hose is squirting water. And now the coronavirus came and cut off the flow of water. Nothing came out for 18 months. Well, on a hose, when you let go, the pressure resumes instantly. It's coming out at the same flow. When we opened back up again, and a lot of businesses were like this,
We had a
business was
trickle,
not
a trickle of
the
water,
way it
right?
was when we stopped. It was, people were still afraid to come out. People were there. So we've been slowly, basically, we had to just about restart our business. So after 2.5 years of being open, shut for 18 months, and then we had to restart our business. Only now, almost March will be 3 years after we closed initially for the first time, are we starting to see numbers, anything close to pre-COVID numbers.
Yeah, we have been lucky in the last 5, 7 weeks that every show is sold out, and we have future shows. This weekend is completely sold out. Is that correct?
No, there's a couple tickets left.
Yeah, so maybe there's 1 or 2 seats left for this weekend coming up, and future seats. So we try to tell people, come on out. We are an intimate theater where you can have a great time. It's BYOB, an hour and a half.
Adults.
Yeah, for adults, not for kids. An hour and a half before showtime, they can come in. We have a lounge in the back where they can sit down, have music. If they want to bring a couple snacks, we allow them to do that. And they can bring their own bottle, have a glass of wine, then come into our main theater, which is here, and see a fantastic show of the likes they've never seen before. And each and every week, it's a new performer. So people can come multiple times. It's not like it's the same static show each and every week. This is a new person. One could be from Europe, one could be from Las Vegas, one can be from anywhere in the world, but they are definitely unique and an experience that most people have never had.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing the amount of talent that is out there. And I was gonna say that one of the nice things that I think that the pandemic and all of us kind of testing out new things allowed for was that now we have these relatively robust ways to get our content out there and to be able to talk to our audiences. And it's made an interesting transition with some of the performing organizations I work with and for or operate. We do virtual shows in conjunction with their live shows so that it's an accessibility thing. People can still access the content.
But there's a big difference, James, between any other type of entertainment done virtually works better than magic. And here's the reason why. If you're watching a singer, you can see them, you can hear them. A play, you can understand, you can watch a movie. The movies are made to be shown on the screen. But if you're watching a magic, if I'm doing a trick right here, you might think, what if there's a guy right off stage that I can't see that's going to give me something, take something, aid me in some way? What if there's something, what if I had something secretly in my hand and I go like this and just drop it and let it go on the floor? You have all those doubts if you're watching someone do a magic trick. Why? Because you can only see that frame that you're looking at. That's your universe into my world. That's why when we stream our shows, we're streaming the show with a live audience watching. So people know the live audience is the guarantee for the people watching at home that no one is aiding the performer.
Yeah,
this is being shown, live with a live audience watching. So they know there is no secret help. When the world of, Zoom shows and Zoom performances started, magicians realized right away, oh my God, this is the perfect environment to cheat. I was watching one show and I know the performer, his girlfriend is under the table writing stuff on paper and feeding it to him. And he's, I have a prediction. You can do all kinds of crazy things because this is all you're letting the audience see. That's why our show's totally different. The live audience verifies for the people watching at home, you're still watching live magic. Nothing funny is going on.
And that's another thing that came from the pandemic is that we realized that we can do the show live and stream it around the world at the same time. So those people that are in the time zone can watch it live as it happens. And then we have them available on demand. So any one of our live shows, because we only have live shows, any one of our shows can be watched after the fact. So we have an entire library of shows that we've had here that can then be watched by someone across the world, across the globe, that didn't have the availability to tune in the moment we were doing it live, but they still are watching an uncut version of that live performance.
We had that guy in Sydney, Australia, one of our really good customers. He can't watch live because of the time zone, but he will watch the shows as a replay, and it's a magic fan that's enjoying our shows in Australia.
I also think, talk a little bit about Mindvention and what's going on and how that altered,
Quickly, we run a convention called Mindvention, which is a conference for mind readers. Theatrical mind readers, let me say, theatrical mind readers. And because of the pandemic, we haven't present. The convention used to be a live event in Las Vegas. About 125 to 150 mind readers from around the world would go to Las Vegas. But now we do it virtually. And again, virtually has some benefits is we have people now, all over the world logging in to see this that would never been able to afford the couple $1,000 it would cost you to fly to Vegas, stay in Vegas, eat, take time off work. Now they can just watch right from the benefit of their home.
Awesome. I would like to transition a little bit onto our current events section of the show. We always talk a little bit about what's happening. I like to have these conversations with artists because really, artists we're always problem solving. I think magicians probably doubly so. We're all always problem solving, trying to figure out how to make things work better. I'd like to start with a little history. We have a little interesting piece of history going on. There's the first black owned bookstore in Philadelphia will be receiving a historical marker. It's Hakim's Bookstore. It opened in 1959 over in West Philly. It has been in the news recently because they got a historical marker, they will be receiving that sometime this year. And it comes on the heels of the recognition of Vaughn's Bookstore in Detroit, being recognized as the first black-owned bookstore in Detroit.
Hmm.
And what I find interesting to tie in with magic is that a lot of people's first exposure to magic is in a bookstore. We're, like I said, artists. We're always problem solving. I think one of the first one of the best solutions to presenting something in the written form I've ever seen is a magic book. A book of how to do tricks. They're always very informative and fun. Do you guys have a favorite magic book? Do you have a favorite example of browsing a bookstore that
So
you
let
found
let me
something?
start first. I'm going to jump in and start first. What a lot of people don't realize, there are more books written about the art of magic than any other hobby or pastime in the world. I tell people that, and they say they don't believe it, but it is the truth. The first magic book that we have today goes back to 1560 or something like that. That's the first one that has survived. So that's how long ago that they've been written. Because the books that we write for magicians, you don't see them in Barnes and Nobles. You're not going to find them at the library. You don't have any idea, but books and tricks and routines and props are produced since the show started. 4 or 5 new things have come onto the market in that last hour that we talked. Magicians are very creative people. And like you said, we are problem solvers. That is what we do for a living. My goal, like I do a trick in my show where a guy signs a bill from his wallet. The bill disappears. And at the end of the show, he's had a cigar in a sealed tube. He opens up the tube. We break the cigar open, and inside he takes out and unfolds his signed bill. That was the problem, how to get that guy's signed bill into that cigar. And there were other people that had worked on this. And we got together and we started thinking about how we're going to do it. We came up with a method that no one else has done before. So you're right, magicians are problem solvers. And anybody watching, if you're interested in the art of magic, obviously you can come and check us out. We have a little magic counter here at the Smoke and Mirrors Magic Theater, but go to the public library. There are books. If you're a kid watching, there are books on the shelf of your school. There's magic books in every library. It's just a topic that libraries know appeals to kids, especially in a child's library. There are magic books, and there's magic books in an adult library.
And just like there are encyclopedias for knowledge for school students and everything, magic has a similar thing. There's a thing called the Tarbell Course of Magic, which is multiple volumes starting at the very beginning and basic magic all the way up to full blown stage illusions, where you can saw a girl in half, stick swords through her, levitate people. And that's a complete course that you can buy individually, one volume at a time, like an encyclopedia used to be, or you can buy all of the volumes. But when you ask about great magic books, I mean, probably my favorite magic book is a book called The Fine Art of Magic. It's a very old book. You're not going to find that probably won't find it in a library. Uh, and you probably won't even find it online. And if you did, it would probably cost $400 or $500 to get that book. So there's a lot of collector books that are out there that you can't even get your hands on. Now, fortunately for the newer magicians, they are starting to reprint some of the older books. Collectors aren't real happy about that, but for the students of magic, they're thrilled that they can get their hands on it for not a ridiculous price.
Speaking of ridiculous price, it's not uncommon. Eric Samuel's book came out recently. It was a book on mentalism and mind reading type of things. $250 was the price of the book. You know, you go to Barnes and Nobles, the new Stephen King book is $35, $38 or something like that. But because these books are giving away secrets and information, some of the books easily $250, $350, $100, $150. Sometimes a book will come out and it's $30 or $40 or $50, and that happens too. But people will pay that amount of money because you're getting information and information that you want.
It's also done to keep the knowledge of those secrets out of the general public, because you're just not going to buy that book for $200 or $250 if you really don't have any interest. Just to find out how a trick works, I don't think most people will spend $200 to $300 for a book. So a lot of the books are created, and they're beautiful books too, but they'll be created and they want to sell them to a specific market of people, not the general public.
That makes a lot of sense. And what I was going to interject with is it seems like when you were talking about librarians knowing that the art of magic appeals to children, it's almost like the original STEAM subject, like the as in STEAM and STEAM versus STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. But if you add arts into it, it's STEAM. And the I'm a big proponent of STEAM over STEM. I think that STEAM is a lot better. If you add the arts into anything, any sort of artistic endeavor into anything, it appeals much better and it's much easier to learn from than just trying to concentrate on the core of those subjects. But yeah, that is very interesting that librarians would know magic because of the interactive nature of it, and it is, you can see how it would be an easy area to get children involved with learning math and engineering and other elements that they need to create illusions that are beyond fantastical, beyond what we can think of now. Moving forward a little bit in history, we have 1974, the Section 8 program started. Since 1974, hundreds of thousands of people have been helped to get or maintain reasonable housing through the Section 8 program. It provides people at or below the poverty level the ability to apply for rental housing, and the government makes up the difference between 30% of their income and what the actual rent is. So you apply with a landlord who has Section 8 approved housing, and they only charge you 30% of your income as rent, and then the remainder of what they would charge fair market rent, that bill goes to the federal government through the local government. In Philadelphia, there has been a historic problem with the Section 8 list, which is that the Philadelphia Housing Authority has never, for the last something like 20, 30 years, has not been able to clear the list and provide all the people on the list, wait list for Section 8 housing, interviews to get Section 8 housing. The wait list has been just growing and growing, and very few people come off the wait list because Section 8 also has a number of people in a locality limit. So you have, say, 100,000 people in Philadelphia who can be on Section 8, but the Philadelphia Housing Authority estimates that there are over 20,500 voucher households. So 19,500 people qualify for Section 8 housing, but only 10,000 can be on the list at any given time. So clearly, you just never end up clearing that list. You get new people on it, and you don't get people falling off because you don't get to pull people off the list until they've gotten their Section 8 housing and then left the program. Um, uh, it's a great program. Something like 70% of households that qualify for Section 8 housing maintain their housing for the rest of their lifetime. Don't become homeless, and they also a large percentage of them also graduate out of the program into their own affording their own housing outright because they start earning more money. When you have housing taken care of, you can kind of worry about other things like how am I going to make more money. Um, but recently, the PHA cleared the list and is going to be opening it up to 10,000 new applicants starting in February. Communications about the list being cleared are going out now. And if folks need information on affordable housing, they should visit the Philadelphia Housing Authority website and sign up for their newsletter. But uh, I this this has been a long way of introducing the subject that I want to talk about, which is um, we have a bunch of people in the city of Philadelphia who, for whatever political reason, they tend to uh, talk about and participate in building the idea of building in construction, real estate in general. Real estate has always, for the last 20, 30, 40, probably longer years, been the domain of relatively wealthy individuals. You have a lot of people who've made their money in real estate or who hold real estate to continue to grow their wealth. And it's interesting to me the kind of web of this conversation because I participate in the conversation as well. And there are a lot of people from both liberal and conservative sides of the political spectrum who have different opinions on how construction and housing prices, etc., interact. What we have right now is the federal government, which sets interest rates, the prime interest rate, has been raising interest rates for the past 6 months to cool what they classify as inflation. According to the federal government, we're in an inflationary state, which means things start costing more to produce. That includes housing, that includes milk, it includes all goods and services. Um, Increasing the interest rate, in theory, cools inflation because people start borrowing less money, which makes less money available in the general economy, which slows the economy down, which makes people able to afford less things. So demand goes down, hence pricing should go down as well. Um, but recently, a lot of the people that are on the kind of pro build our way out of it side have been talking about some of the reports released that that housing construction housing prices are declining because construction is up. I don't know. I don't agree with this viewpoint. So I'm probably not the best person to represent this side of the argument. But their argument is that housing prices are going down because construction has been up. In the same report, there are interviews with bankers talking about how they're going to stop loaning money to people that they haven't loaned money to before, and construction companies talking about how they're stopping their construction projects because of the uncertainty in the banking arena. So I don't understand how all of this combines to make it seems illusionary, magical, if you will, to me. I don't agree with the idea in general, but from you know, you guys are on the outskirts of Philadelphia. You're in Philadelphia, but you know, like you're in an area where there is a greater accumulation of both high end construction and wealth. What what effects over the last, you know, year to 5 years have you seen on the makeup of your neighborhood, the typical audience member who has the disposable time and income to come into your theater? Like, what have you seen inflation do, even in your own household, like, or in your own business?
Well, one of the things that you have to know about what Danny and I chose to do, and we do have to change a little bit moving forward, but from the time we opened to the current day, we have not raised our prices because of the great fluctuations in the economy, right? And I believe that housing is very difficult for a young couple currently to buy a home. When interest rates were low, the price of houses were so ridiculous that the average young couple, or any couple actually, could afford to put 40% down on a $700,000 home. Now, if you come down to a normal home now and you say 250,000 or 200,000 to the $400,000 range, the interest rates are up. So it's very difficult. So the excess money that people have to spend on coming to a Magic Theater is not there, right? They don't have a lot of that extra cash to do it. In the same instance, we've tried to keep our tickets. We're actually way cheaper. It's way cheaper to come see a live show here at the Smoke and Mirrors Magic Theater. And we're in Huntingdon Valley. So we're not really in Philadelphia, even though we're only inches from Philadelphia. I mean, we're a half a mile from the Philadelphia border. But we've kept the price. If you go to the movies, yeah, you might be able to get in the movies for $10, $12, $15, but the popcorn costs you $87, right? And the jujubes or whatever you're going to eat, good and plenty's, whatever it might be, are very expensive. So you wind up spending $50, $60 just on the food portion of it. Where here, you can come and see a live performance for what's our lowest ticket price?
$15.
$15, right? For a family show, bring your children for $15. You can see live entertainment that will be talked about for a very long time. They're not looking at a screen. No, we don't sell popcorn and we don't sell candy. We sell bottles of water and things like that. But this is truly an experience way, way different than spending. 5 people going to a movie can cost a couple $100. 5 people coming here could cost under $100. So it's really a good buy. And the evening shows are relatively inexpensive also.
35 and 25.
35 and 25 for a live, incredible show. It's just, so we've kept up with the economy fluctuations, but it's also hurting our bottom line. So we need the support of people, and we do at some point moving forward. We're probably going to have to raise our ticket prices, even though we don't want to. But everything for us has gone up also. Our rent's gone up, our gas has gone up, our electric's gone up. The cost of buying supplies, toilet paper, paper towels, hand sanitizers, keeping the theater clean, wiping it down. Even though COVID is not as prevalent as it was, we still have to, after every show, use sanitary wipes and wipe the hand railings, wipe the chairs, vacuum the seats, wipe the seats down. So everything that goes with it, our costs exponentially have gone up probably at least 25 to 30%. And we haven't raised our prices since we opened. So we may be forced to move $5 on a ticket. And we're not sure how that'll affect business. We hope it won't. We hope people will still want to come see us, but the economy and real estate and everything else that people are doing are driving and forcing us into that situation.
So buy your tickets now at smokermirrorstheater.com.
There you go. Buy it now while there's
Yeah, we put the link up a few minutes ago.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think this represents one of the aspects that I've been seeing of quote unquote inflation. I put scare quotes around inflation because inflation to me, and I'm not classically, I'm not a trained economist or whatever. I grew up I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and 90s. So I got to see firsthand, like real inflation and stagflation and all of that. I was aware and active enough during those periods to understand what was happening. So inflation to me has always been a real pressure from the supply side where things cost actual extra money to produce. Where you guys as producers and me as an entertainment producer sit is interesting because I think we sit in a level of the economy that like things do actually cost more to produce right now. Our stuff costs more to produce right now than it used to, but that's not because of inflation. It's because there's other segments of the business economy that we're beholden to. I can't negotiate what it costs me to buy a roll of paper towels. I can't negotiate what it costs me to buy a pallet of lumber for a set. But I'm suddenly getting charged more for lumber than I ever used to, and it's not inflation because it doesn't cost more to produce that lumber. That lumber is grown in Canada. Canada didn't see a huge spike in labor cost or fuel prices. What happened there is for some odd reason, our former president decided to start a trade war with Canada over lumber, and so the Canadian government raised the export excise taxes on it, and so that price went up. That's not inflation. That's bad international politics. That's not inflation. But it's weird because there's inflation, but it's not classic inflation. Like it's not because things cost more all of a sudden to produce. It's because people are just taking out more money. Like we have people, we have companies all over many industries, that are earning more money than they ever did, because basically they're just charging more. Then you have companies like ours that sit in that middle ground between the end user and the supply side, and we're getting squeezed from both sides towards the middle. People aren't making more all of a sudden, and also our supplies are costing more. So how do we price that? How do we figure out
Here's another unique scenario about what you're talking about, though. Danny and I discuss this all the time. Here in Philadelphia, we're charging $25 or $35, right, to come to a show. Now, the same performer that we have on our stage in a custom built theater just to watch that performer. That same performer at a not so perfect theater in New York City gets $125 a ticket, right? So it's just a very unusual thing. In New York, they will sell out a show at 125, 150 to $250 a ticket in a theater that's ground level where your visibility isn't as good, but they have the ability to sell out those tickets at that ridiculous price. Where here in Philadelphia, the arts are not treated as a spectacular thing like they are in New York City.
Well, the other thing too, in New York, the 1% is still the 1%. The 1% will always be the 1%. They have money. And there's enough 1%ers in New York that you could charge whatever you want. So that's that top, let's say, expanded from 1 to 10%. The top 10% of Americans, they're not worried about anything. They can just spend and do whatever they want.
But think about the benefit of, if you come to the Smoke and Mirrors Magic Theater, you don't have to pay for parking. We have a restaurant that's 300
feet.
Yeah, 300 feet away from us in the same parking lot. So there's a restaurant right there. So you can have restaurant and go to eat, and you can walk over from that restaurant to our theater, and the parking is free. We have parking for 93 or 94 cars. And in New York City, you're paying 125 plus for a ticket, and you're paying $40 or $50 to park your car. So we are truly we're we are an amazing bargain that, and again, Danny and I talk about this, the most talked about thing. We are like magic secrets. We are one of the best kept secrets in the world because we can't get the word out. It takes so much money, and we don't have that kind of money. We're not this big company. It's me and Danny, right?
Right.
And we can't get the word out fast enough. People that live within 10 miles of us, 2 miles of us, don't even know we exist because our township won't allow us to put up a marquee. We have a little sign. You have to find us almost to get
It's
here.
the problem almost of any small business. I have a friend of mine that owns a magic theater in Colorado Springs. Well, Colorado Springs has population is less than 200,000 people. When he opened up, it took a couple of months till everyone in that community knew there's a magic theater in Colorado Springs. Here, we are marketing. We have stuff on Facebook and Instagram. We've run ads. We've been here. We've been there. But the zoo has a bigger budget. They're yelling louder. So is the Walnut Street Theater. So is the bowling alley. The Kimmel. So no matter what we do, no matter how loud we yell, here we are. We're drowned out by people with bigger budgets and bigger voices.
And I think
word of mouth spreads though, and that's the best form of advertising is word of mouth advertising. So the people, we had a show last Saturday. We had a sold out show. 60 people went back to their places of business and said, "Oh my God, I was at this the other day. The guy did a thing with it." That's the best form of advertising, and that is what sustains us and keeps us going.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things that has been a result of the pandemic is that arts spending by the city of Philadelphia was drastically cut, and then this year they agreed to spend basically the same amount that they did the first year pre-pandemic, and bring it back up to what's still way too little. But like there's cities like New York where the spending on the arts economy and on the tourism economy is equal to 2 to 4% of the yearly budget of the city. And we spend in Philadelphia, we spend less than 0.006% of the budget on arts, on tourism, on promoting Philadelphia as a destination. When that's one of the primary things that Philadelphia is and can be good at. Our real estate isn't that expensive that we can't provide a magic theater at reasonable ticket prices. Our subway system, our mass transit system is good enough to get people from Center City out to where you are. Um,
But we don't have an area in the city of Philadelphia or on the outskirts of Philadelphia that has the glitz and the glamour of Broadway.
right.
Broadway is lights and sparkle and shine. It's exciting just to walk down the street. There's not a street in Philadelphia that is exciting to walk down. Philadelphia has not taken the effort, right, or the time or the money to care about businesses like ours and say, let's put up these big marquees. Let's put up the shiny lights. Let's make Philadelphia a showplace. And they just don't do it. So it's an individual over here trying to survive. Even the Kimmel Center. The Kimmel Center is having a hard time selling tickets to everything because Philadelphia just doesn't promote it, as you stated, like New York does. And then the rest of the economy with the housing and everything else that goes on in our city makes it very difficult to have any extra cash to do the fun things in life that we all need and require to stay sane.
Well, the one thing too is World War II happens. London is totally leveled by bombing. What is the very first thing that they decide to rebuild?
Right. Good
The
point.
theaters, movie theaters and legitimate theaters. And someone said to them, why? Why? We need hospitals, we need schools, we need people need entertainment. So that's a fact. Look it up.
Yeah, and we are your next best night out. If you've never been here and you want to be amazed and you want to have a fun time, we are your next best night out and the best kept secret in the tri-state area. Because as Danny said earlier, probably within 100, I don't think within 100 miles, there's another truly dedicated. We are dedicated to the art of magic.
Right now, well, there's the one in Jersey, but he does a show maybe once a month.
Yeah,
We have
correct.
shows 50 weeks a year. Every week, go to our schedule. You will see the shows. We have performers booked through April or May already at this point. And you're going to see entertainment that you won't see play anywhere else in the Philadelphia area. And the shows are just absolutely incredible,
Awesome.
as a company excluded.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today and being our guest and talking about stuff with me. I'm going to take you guys off screen and I'm going to outro the show.
All
But
right. Thank you, James.
thank you so much, and look forward to seeing a show at your theater.
Come anytime.
Will do.
Come on down.
All right. Thanks so much,
Be
guys.
amazed. Ciao.
Take care.
Sure.
Be amazed.
And thank you to my guests who watch online. I really appreciate it. We do this every week. Yeah, my schedule can be a little bit hectic, and sometimes I miss a Wednesday or two, but we try to do this every week. And our schedule can be seen right on our Facebook page, Light Thief Productions. Light Thief Productions on Facebook, on Patreon, patreon.com/Light Thief Productions, YouTube and Twitter as well. You can find Light Thief Productions there. We really appreciate all of you for watching, and we'll be back next week with another show, more special guests, and more news and information about what's going on. So thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your week.